Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to use a card using this card sketch. As you can see in this card sketch there are a whole bunch of little strips going not vertically, diagonally, with some sort of message or sentiment right here in the center at the top. So I just have a piece of cardstock here folded to a 4 by 4 inch card. And I just have a piece of white cardstock that is cut to just slightly smaller. It's an 1/8 inch smaller on all sides. And then I've just pulled out a whole bunch of different pieces of pattern paper. I have a couple different things here. I have that yellow polka dotted is from a Recollections 8x8 pet pad. There's that striped one is an SEI 6x6 pad. There's just a whole variety of things. And I'm not going to draw any guidelines on here, but I am going to use my grid mat in this diagonal line here, just as the as a base for the first piece of strip, or the first strip. I'm just coating it in adhesive, and I coated it pretty well all along this piece of white cardstock. I have to be careful not to get it stuck to my fingers. As you can see, I'm just lining it up, and I'm trying to get as close as possible on one side. That way when I cut off the excess, I can use it to fill in the gaps. I'm going to speed up the process here in just a moment so you can see me as I go along. And if you start to see gaps like you saw I just did, you can just readjust it, kind of pull it up a little bit, and then lay it back down. See, you just don't want any gaps of the white cardstock showing through, especially if you have very colorful strips. You don't want that extra white just showing through. And I just varied the widths of these strips. I mean, I just cut them from scraps. There were a few whole pieces of paper I cut them from, but scraps are mostly what I was trying to use here. There really wasn't any rhyme or reason for the colors I picked. I just looked for different things. Now, before I finished this, I wanted to cut off the excess I had here so I can reuse some of the ends of these strips. I'm just taking my scissors and cutting as close as possible. Right, and then I'll speed it back up again here so you can see my process once again. Okay, so I have this finished, and I'm just going to once again trim off all the excess now, going around the entire piece of this white cardstock. So I said it was a 1/8 inch smaller on all sides around, so that would make the white piece cut to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 inch, because the card base itself is 4 inches by 4 inches. And some of these scraps you can reuse if you want to continue to use them. At some point though, I just give up on and throw them away. I'm really bad about keeping lots of scraps because I always feel like I can always find a use for them. So some of these I'll end up keeping, and some I'll just toss. But so for now, there is the base of the card. Now I'm going to add a sentiment or an embellishment, or however you want to call this. This is actually from a chipboard collection I have, and I have a ton. I mean, these are little Chinese takeout containers that I'm stored in, and I have 4 of them full of these things. I'm just using this, I think it's called a mat stack if I remember correctly. Or no, piercing tool. It's from Stamp It Up. I swear I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm just punching a hole in this chipboard, that way I can thread some baker's twine through it. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not measuring this or anything. Now again, this is from Stamp It Up. But even if you just had a sticker, you could use, excuse me, you can use a sticker and mount it on a piece of cardstock and then cut around it. Alright, so I have some baker's twine here that I've just cut. It's just blue baker's twine. I'm just going to thread it through the end. Sorry, I go off camera a little bit here. I have to use when you actually use this piercing tool to push it through. And I'm not going to tie it, but what I am going to do is thread it through, and you'll see here, and then I'm going to wrap it around. I was going to leave it like that, then I was debating on something to give it a little bit more of a different look, so I decided to thread it through, then wrap it around and thread it through again. So I'm taking it and I'm wrapping it around the edges, and then I will thread the end through again. See right there, and then I'll thread this end through. So so both loose ends are coming out the back of the piece of chipboard. I just wanted something a little bit different look, that was all. You could just as easily tie it in a knot, or not tie it at all and just have it looped through. Alright. Alright, so I'm just pulling it and straightening it. So there you go. See, it comes out the back. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing to the other end here, exactly the same thing. And so now I have both ends tied, or looped, however you want to say it, and it just says celebrate. I did another one, and I'll put a photo of it at the end of the card, at the end of the video rather. I'm just centering it on here. I did it probably about 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch from the top. And I had already put some adhesive on the back of this before I put the embellishment on there. So I'm just sticking the ends of this twine to the back of that. But before I did that, before I put down the other side, I put some dimensional adhesive behind it to kind of hold it up off of the card. So I have one end of it adhered to the back of this. Actually, I'm going to take it off, that way I can make sure it's centered, but I'm using my grid mat as a guide as well. Now I'm going to loop the ends of this. I was going to tie it, but there's really no need since I already had adhesive. I'm just going to stick it down and then trim off the ends. And those ends of the twine will be sandwiched between the card base and this white piece of cardstock, so there's no concern that they'll come loose. Alright, so then I just put this pattern piece I created on top of the card base, just centering it. Alright, and there you go. Enjoy your day. Happy crafting.